if you're dealing with minors, you're going into some very nefarious activities. But as an attorney, I mean, how often are people actually blindsided by this and charged, and then find themselves in a situation where they have, I just thought, I assumed they were 18 because you have to be 18 on the app. How often does that happen where
It,
people are actually
it,
blindsided?
it happens more than you think. And here's where it happens. It happens when you have high school girls posing as 18 or 19-year-olds because they want to date a service member. There are a shocking amount, especially in military towns. You see this is a lot more prevalent outside of Bragg, outside of Cavazos or Hood, outside of Lejeune, where you have high school girls, and maybe it's guys too. I'm not on a stereotype, but I just see more girls doing this than guys who are 15, 16, 17. They want to date a Marine. They don't want to date a high school boy. They want to date a soldier. And so they put themselves out as above 18 because it's easy to do. They get a pic, and maybe it's the actual pic of her, maybe it's been photoshopped or enhanced. They look older than they actually are, and they will be chatting with someone trying to hook up with a Marine. It happens all the time. And if you're chatting with someone, and a lot of Marines get blindsided by this because how does it come to light? Who finds out? Dad finds out. Almost every time dad finds out or mom finds out. They see a text, they look at the phone, and their prurient daughter is now having messages which will make anyone blush with a Marine, and they lose their mind. I mean, if you're a parent, wouldn't you probably lose your mind as well if your daughter is
Right.
sexting with a 18,
Absolutely.
19-year-old
Yeah. Yeah.
Marine? And then it gets even worse. What if it's a 33-year-old Marine? I mean, that becomes a lot more problematic. But when the people that get blindsided more are my young soldiers and young Marines more often, it can be airmen and Navy as well, but who are talking to someone they believe is about their age, but it's someone in high school. And then they get not caught, they get blindsided by it. Dad and mom are hell bent on prosecuting. And so these cases get prosecuted because there's tremendous pressure by the parents to prosecute. And now you get placed on legal hold. Your career is on pause. You have a charge sheet which will make you a registered child sex offender if you're convicted. And now we have to show that you had this mistake of fact as to age, which means that you had a reasonable belief that the person you were chatting with was 18. And those cases, we win those cases all the time. They're not hard to win based on the text messages. But the service member, okay, they win. What did they really win? Their career's over. It was a year to go to trial. They've been passed over for promotion. They went from being a supermoto Marine right into the fleet to on legal hold for a year for a child sexual assault offense. Really?
Yeah.
And you win. Then what happens then? It's really hard to recover your good name. I mean, it can be done, but it's really hard. And so I've done so many of these cases. The vast majority of them we've won because we can show it. 18 plus dating site. They said they're 18. They often have fake IDs. They just want to date a Marine and brag about dating a Marine. And that's another way people get caught. All right. Maybe it's not mom and dad. Maybe they have sex with this Marine and they're in high school and they brag to everyone about it. And this stuff spreads like wildfire and it gets back to a counselor, a parent, someone at school. And it gets, and in a military town where if you're at, if you're in Killeen, Texas, it's a small town right outside of base and things spread and these investigations can start. So you have to be, if you are in the military, be exceptionally careful with who you're chatting with or who you're meshing on a dating app. Be highly skeptical and don't send anything that, just think about it this way. If you wouldn't want your text to be displayed as a prosecution exhibit to the entire world, don't send them, period. And if you ever get the notion that the person is not who they say they are, just walk away because do you really want to be in a relationship with someone that's deceptive? If they're deceptive from the onset, this is not someone you want to be with. Move on. There's a million people in the world. And you don't want to be in a relationship with someone who's going to be deceptive because that's start to have, all sorts of potential issues down the road. And that's completely notwithstanding the NCIS sting operations or the OSI, or CID sting operations that are run, which the bottom line is the minute someone says, oh, by the way, I'm not actually 18, I'm actually 15, stop. Don't, oh, really? I didn't know that. Are you sure? I'm just, at that point in time, you have now been put on notice that the person is purporting to be a minor. I don't care what happened before. Stop the chat and do not re engage it.